Finally, the moment a couple of you have been waiting for.
It's all like bing bong, Jack.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Duval and St. Johns County. The show for Jag fans by Jag fans.
You can't have a newcomer come in and steal the show.
Here are your hosts, Franklin and Michael how you say it? DeZoba. Welcome to the Jaggernaut Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I want to welcome you back for another Jaggernaut Podcast. I'm Michael. As always, I got my brother Franklin. Frank, give him a big Duval.
Duval.
There you go. Let them know we mean business. We mean business down here in the dirty South. Anyway, free agents. Woo! Right. Teams are going on shopping sprees. It's like, do you remember when you were at Toys R Us and you hoped, now Toys R Us probably gives away my age, but every now and again you can get those shopping sprees. And it was like just whatever your cart could fill up. We were never lucky enough to win.
Yeah, that went out of my mind because we didn't get to do it. You know,
you had to win those things, and we never got to win it.
No.
And I sort of feel like that this year. You know, it wasn't our time. However, I'm okay because we spent our money last year. And it looks like we made good investment. From what last year showed us, it looks like our team's coming in together. It's gelling. It's a nice, solid core team. When you have a core team, you build through the draft because that's how you sustain it, not through free agency. So I like that. With that being said, Frank, we lost our right tackle. Jawaan Taylor is moving on to the champion Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, bro?
It's a mixed bag. You know, we both, I think, agreed that we wanted to keep Jawaan Taylor if we could. But considering what he got on that open market, it makes me feel a little better that we didn't keep him, to be quite honest with you. I think he got like $60 million guaranteed. If I'm going off the top of my head, but I think that's right. And so, you know, we talked about it. Evan Ingram was, for me, the guy that we should focus on, and we did franchise tag Evan Ingram. So they did that, and then I think they I don't know. It'd be interesting. Did they try to get a deal done with Jawaan before free agency? And it makes me wonder how that works because
we'll never know that.
Well, my thought is that there's a hell of a lot of tampering going on.
And that's the 2-day tampering.
Yeah, they say legal tampering, but you know tampering goes on way before that, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, all that stuff goes on at the scouting combine.
So
it's a 4-year, $80 million with $60 million guaranteed.
Yeah. And so that's the thing, you know? So my thought is maybe the Chiefs had their eye on Jawaan, and so they got the word out. Maybe the agent, you know, I don't know how that works. Their agent is a go-between, so... to me, tampering happens all the time, so I don't think there was any way we were going to pay. It makes me wonder, were the Jags aware of the offer that didn't exist but did exist? You know, it makes me wonder if that's how the world works, or anyway. But that being said, I really got no issues. There's some good and there's some bad, and the way that I look at it is for us. Well, let's talk about it for his position. It's good for him. He's going to get paid. He had a real good year last year, and he's going to make some money now. So I mean, that's always a good thing. I mean, I never hate on anybody who's, you know, who's making the best for themselves and for their family and stuff like that. So it in a way it sucks because they are did they improve the Chiefs? I mean, you know, certainly they had with them not signing Orlando Brown, they had a need. So Jawan filled that need, and the Chiefs beat us twice last year, so they got a need filled by one of our players. So there's something to be said about that.
Well, so kudos to Jawan Taylor. Again, you can't hate anybody for trying to make their situation better. So kudos to him. But as it pertains to the Jags, are the Jags really in that much of a hole? We have Walker Little, we have Cam Robinson. Now, I know in the last podcast, you weren't high on Cam Robinson. You would have rather let Cam Robinson go and move Walker Little in. And I can see that, but at the time Cam got his money, we needed a left tackle and we needed to pay him.
Yep.
And as it works out, as you do this, you pay a guy, and when you pay a guy, it's like, oh my God, it's an all-time high for his position. 2 years later, you're now paying in the middle of the road for that same position on that same contract.
Right.
So the contract wasn't completely devastating. We have 2 tackles. We have a solid 5 guys on the offensive line. What we don't have outside of Shatley is backups.
Yeah.
We don't have a swing tackle anymore. If we move Walker Little to the right side, so we have to do something on the offensive line, whether it's through some marginal free agents or some low-cost free agents. I don't want to call them marginal because that's probably not fair. But some low-cost free agents and some draft to bring in competition so that we can start to get a better offensive line. So we re-signed, as we covered before, we re-signed Roy Robinson Harris, but we're still missing Arden Key. Is Arden Key that big of a key? You think 4 sacks and what did he have? 40 something pressures? Like, would you be sad if Arden Key left?
No, I wouldn't be sad.
I think it would depend on the contract, right? It depends on the money. Because at a certain point, and as free agency, if you pay attention to the NFL enough, especially through free agency, you'll find out that free agents often get overpaid. They tend to set the market, and they tend to get overpaid. Kudos to them. Congratulations. However, at a certain point, that tapers off. And then you start to get into value free agency.
Yeah.
And pretty soon here, we're going to get into value free agency. What is Arden Key's value? How much is his value?
Yeah, it's hard to say because one of the things that, and I don't think that anybody really knows except for maybe the NFL execs that sort of talk to each other, because it seems like the wide receiver position is extremely valued right now. Nobody gives a crap about running backs.
Do you think so? Because I don't know a prominent wide receiver that moved, like Juju Smith-Schuster still out there. The only one I've heard about is Alan Lazard.
But you see how much money he got paid?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
that's what I mean.
$11 million a year?
I'm not saying, so what I'm saying is that the way that we're registering value is by money. Not necessarily how fast they go off the board, which I suppose is one way to measure value, but how much money. Because remember, there was talk how Christian Kirk set the market last offseason, this sort of thing. And it did come in at quite a bit higher than what I imagined it would be. Then you saw the other wide receivers come in, and they were high too. So my thought is Alan Lazard is, I mean, I don't think of him as this amazing. He just didn't appear to me to be what was like $44 million or something.
Yeah,
he didn't appear to me to be a $44 million man. And yet, and so my thought is, the receiver, it wasn't an aberration. The receiver market is coveted right now. And then you've got like what, I don't know why his name just comes out of my head there.
Give me a clue.
That's Chargers running back, Austin Eckler. Yeah. I mean, he's wanting to get, it just seems like the running back, the Titans were rumored to be trying to get rid of Henry. we got rid of James Robinson. Yeah, I'm going to bring James Robinson back up. I'm going to slide that in there. You see I did that? But
unless like nobody caught that.
nobody. Well, also nobody cares about running backs.
Caught that, buddy. All 8 of them.
Nobody cares about running backs as much.
They all rolled their eyes. And which is weird in a way.
It
but
is
the
weird.
the NFL has been transitioning away from a ground and pound from your primary 3 down back for the last 10 years.
Yeah, it has, but
this is no surprise.
It has, but it's interesting because, we just franchise tagged a tight end, and I'm all for it, by the way, but let's not kid ourselves. Evan Ingram he blocked well last year. He blocked better than expected, and he was always dynamic in regards to his ability to get open. The issue he had with New York was catching the ball. What I'm driving and what I'm getting at and transitioning into is that tight ends can be a similar position to the running back in this respect. They're a versatile player. They do versatile things. We got a guy who's, for all intents and purposes, that we coveted, that's one-dimensional. He's just the pass-catching tight end. We are now looking for a tight end, and if we go out in free agency, and you talked about value free agents, we're going to get one of the guys that blocks, the blocking tight end, because we lost Chris Manhertz.
That's correct. So
okay.
You're upset we lost Manhertz.
Right. What's that?
You're upset we lost Manhertz.
I'm not upset by it. What I'm saying is that I'm trying to dovetail this back into what we're talking about with the running backs and how odd it is to me that running backs aren't valued because they're versatile. They run the ball, they catch the ball, they block for the quarterback on third downs. So it isn't so much to say, my point is like, I don't understand exactly, like I understand that the market had to come down. I understand the concept of not drafting a running back in the first round. I get that. But once they're established, if you've got a guy who's young, I don't understand why there wouldn't be a free agent market for a player who plays a position as valuable as the running back still seems to be even in today's NFL. So
I'll give you 2 names. I'll give you 2 names. Isaac Pachenko,
right?
James Robinson.
Fair enough.
You're talking about a 7th rounder and an undrafted guy who came in and both had huge impacts on their team from the 7th round and from not being drafted. Because you could get running backs from rounds 4, 5, 6, 7, and undrafted that can come in. It is not a dynamic skill set. I understand that you want them to have these skills. I'm not sure it's that dynamic anymore.
I guess I'm in the minority then because, I want to argue against your point, but obviously the NFL sees it probably the way that you see it, I'm guessing. I'm just thinking I have a hard time thinking the way that the NFL used to be, where you had the Marshall Faulks and the Priest Holmes and these guys that would take over games running and receiving the ball. And running backs still do that. And we saw a transition where we went from the bell cow to the stable. And that's where we're at now. So I guess, and I get the value aspect of it, but we just saw Lazard. Was Lazard even drafted? I mean, he was on our practice squad at one point.
And that's correct. However, I think the key dynamic that you're missing is that the NFL offense used to be almost 60% to the running back. Then when it was in the stable, it went to 48%, 47%.
But you're talking about runs now. What about passes?
I'm talking about through the running back.
Okay, all told.
Okay. And now we're down somewhere probably in like the 38 range. 38% of your offense goes through your running backs. Because now you have more prolific short passing, you have more prolific medium passing, and now you have better guys getting longer passing. the receivers and the quarterback, I think, is what matters now. I don't think you necessarily need a running back. Yeah, you need somebody that can block, but you can get a big old fat fullback. Yeah, you need somebody who can get you the first down, but you need a big old fat fullback. You know, I mean, is there any difference on a pass play with removing ETN and putting Agnew in there? If it's a pass play, I'm not talking about running.
Yeah,
I'm talking about a pass play.
I get you. I'm following. You're
So
correct.
that's what I'm saying.
No difference.
So the game has devalued the running back position.
Or even if you put in James Robinson.
The supply has increased. There's a lesser gap.
Has it increased?
The demand or the supply, yeah, it has. Like David Montgomery, right, for the Chicago Bears, can't find a job. Austin Eckler wants out, can't find a job. Who are the other guys? There's like two more decent running backs who are your established running backs.
Well,
that can't find jobs.
Now that I think about it, what's interesting, if you think about how much of the salary cap these quarterbacks are now taking up, and if you, in a weird way, if you think about a balance, the quarterback and the running back share the same area of the field. And I don't think they're thinking about it this way necessarily. I think it's just working out naturally, but there's only so much money you can allocate to that part of the field. So they're throwing the rest of the money to the tight ends and the linemen and the receivers and the running backs. So the quarterbacks are making all the money, it appears, at the expense of the running back.
And here's the last caveat. The running backs get dinged up a lot. They are out a lot. Liz Frank, ACLs, Achilles, hand injuries, wrist, elbows, you name it, they get it. Concussions, they get it. Why? What business model says that it's okay to give this guy guaranteed $13 million versus drafting this guy in the 5th round who basically can run the same, can find the hole, can catch the ball, and none of it's guaranteed. So when he gets hurt, if he gets hurt bad enough, you can just move on from it. You do an injury settlement and you move on.
I wonder if what we're saying here is that there are not a lot of misses in the draft with that position. In other words, free agency is, you're almost dealing with a known commodity, at least more known commodity than you are a rookie coming out of college, because we see rookies that look great in college. They come into the NFL, not sure why, not sure what it is. Some of them, they can't hack it. It whatever reason, it doesn't work out. Maybe that's not so much of an issue for the running back. So therefore, you flood the market. You got all these running backs that come in and they're all doing well. So the free agent aspect is, it doesn't matter because, the odds of hitting on a replacement for Austin Eckler, as an example, if you're the Chargers, is very high this draft. It's like, okay, well, we're not going to pay you a ton of money because odds are there's 3 Austin Ecklers waiting in the draft that we can draft in the 3rd, 4th round. And if we're feeling froggy and we think there's somebody really great, we might go to the 2nd to grab them, So maybe that's what it is the roll of the dice on running backs in coming out of college is so high, or the batting average is so high that on hitting on those guys that it lowers the value in the free agency market. I wonder if that's what the deal is.
Do you ever, I don't know about you, but when I use fantasy, right? I almost always would draft a rookie running back. Because a few years ago, we used to have a saying, right? It took 3 years for the receiver to develop. Yeah. It took a few years for the quarterback to develop. But a running back, he'd come right out of college. He's plug and play. Plug and play and can have.
No, you're right.
And can have good years, like good solid years.
Yeah, you're right.
It's the only position where that was really ever said. Now, granted, you had some receivers, you had some quarterbacks, but the majority were not that. With the NFL, the majority of running backs were simply plug and play. That, along with the transition to a heavier passing game and an increased supply, lowers the demand.
Hmm.
So it's going to be hard for running because nobody wants to pay guaranteed money. And as an NFL guy, you want the guaranteed money because that secures your future. So right now, it sucks to be a running back. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. No, that's it. I mean, it's funny that we sort of straggled into this running back conversation because I think that makes a lot of sense. That's interesting. I didn't expect to even talk about this, but I think we're coming away with something that makes a lot of sense actually in regards to the running back market.
Woo! Only on the Jaggernaut podcast could you hear those hounds or whatever they are, hellhounds in the background.
Did you hear me
Will
yell?
it? Will yeah? We'll at least make it
What?
cool.
I thought I
I
muted it.
heard it. Now I don't know if it's going to come through in the recording, but I heard it.
Oh, okay.
All right, man. So we got our tight end right, and you don't like it because he doesn't block, and I understand that. But to me, he's another receiver, and you put Evan Ingram on any safety, any tight end, or any linebacker, and it's a win for us. All right. So I like that. That he increases the dynamics of our offense.
Yep, no question.
And I think you can find blockers. I think, hell, man, go out and get you a 6th round tackle and just plug him in as a tight end.
Oh, gotcha. I see what you're saying. Yeah, a
Yeah.
blocking tight end.
Yeah. There
Hey,
you
that's
go.
not a bad idea, man.
There's,
Not a bad
there's
idea.
there's my blocking tight end.
You know what's interesting too is what does this mean for us in regards to the draft? The fact that we lost Jawan Taylor. Do you think that going into the draft we're going to be focused on? I mean, I feel like almost doesn't this almost force our hand a little bit to a certain extent? I mean, I feel like for me, I'm looking now at like if we'd have kept Jawan for a reasonable amount, offensive tackle would have been one of the furthest things on my mind coming into this draft. But now that Jawan's not there, I'm almost of the mindset that maybe second, maybe even first round. You know, if somebody's there.
I think it depends on the player, right? So the only position I think in the first round, maybe the only 2 positions I think that should outweigh offensive line help, whether that's guard or tackle, would be pass rusher and corner. But my problem is do you spend a first round draft pick on a slot corner?
Only if you feel like he's got versatility, can come in and play slot,
Right.
and then if you end up losing one of your other corners, you can slide him outside.
Slide him outside. Okay, so a versatile corner. So those would be my 2 things. Now, the pass rush.
Because we
to
lost
me,
Trey Herndon, by the way.
Yeah, and that's fine. The pass rush to me can come from either inside or outside. So if there's some dynamic D tackle and he's up there and he's the highest guy on the board, you take him. If there's a dynamic outside linebacker, defensive end, and he's number 1 on your board, you take him. If it's a cornerback that you believe is dynamic to play, because this is a deep cornerback class. And as we know, sometimes slot corners aren't the premier outside guys. So
Right.
maybe you could wait till the 2nd or 3rd round to grab a guy you think is a good slot.
Well, that's what I
corner.
mean. Maybe that clears the deck for us. I mean, I know corner's a need, but you just said it, so maybe it's not so much of a need where we don't have to address that in the first round. And if there is an offensive tackle that we value, you know, it would not be a bad pick for us.
So secondary, right? O line and D line. Specifically, get the quarterback, protect the quarterback.
Speaking of D line, any interest in Calais Campbell? Bringing him
I
back the mayor.
I'd kick the tires.
I definitely would, man.
I would look at
He
maybe
had
what I
five.
was.
Hey, he had 5 sacks last year. Arden Key had 4. Everybody's like, "Oh, Arden Key," and I'm look. Not I like Arden Key. I'm not against Arden Key in any means, but he's wanting, I think, more money, and he's been a specialty role player, and I don't know how much I want to allocate, especially when we got Josh Allen around the corner, which I'm still hoping we can re-sign him. So I mean,
I would kick the tires. I would kick the tires, and if he tells me that he still has gas in this tank to be a role player, and the price is right, I'd bring him in. I'd say goodbye to Arden Key. I'd say almost goodbye to Dewan Smoot. And then I would try to get my rotation set and then add to it in the draft.
yeah, I'd love to get Calais and Smoot back. That'd be my focus.
I would like that too. But again, rumor is that they offered. Now I don't know how true this is. Again, you hear all kinds of crap. Is that they offered him basically a 1-year prove it deal, and he does not want a 1-year prove it deal.
Yeah.
So and it's weird because I'm pro Smoot.
Oh, Smoot's a good dude, man.
He's a good dude. He
good
plays
player
hard,
too, man.
And the timing of his injury just was horrible. But from a team standpoint, from a business end,
yeah,
I understand why the team is doing what they're doing. So I get it. And it doesn't seem like there's going to be a winner on either side of this.
And maybe it's one of these things where Smoot just has to get out into the market and get a feel. Maybe there is a team that says, yeah, coming off an Achilles, we'll take you at a multiple-year contract based on you being a backup on the Jags. But I don't see them paying him a lot, and I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that maybe just once the market settles, he'll reconsider that. Because I mean, this is going to be a year he's going to have to work his way back into it. I don't know how a team can make that much of an investment. He's got to make the investment in himself, I think, at that point.
And I believe based off of the type of person he will. But
I don't blame him for asking.
But you don't pay millions of dollars on belief. Right? You got to have some proof there. And when it comes to sometimes these injuries, man, it's hard to say there's proof. So
yeah.
Woo, man, that was depressing. Why did you bring up a depressing topic?
Smoot?
Yeah.
I brought up Calais. You're the one that tied Smoot into it.
No, you brought up Smoot. You said you would like to see them both. And I was
that was after you brought up releasing Smoot. You said release Smoot. That's what you said. I'm here to defend Smoot and keep him on the team from you.
Well, I'm not giving him guaranteed money.
Okay, so
a 1-year prove deal.
Here's the last. Well, did we talk about Calvin Ridley?
We have not. We have not said nothing. Now, hold on. Before we get into Calvin Ridley, I'm still anti Trent Baalke. I still am.
Can't let that go, can you?
No,
I was never anti Trent Baalke.
He's still got to prove it to me. He's still got to prove it to me. But based off what we're seeing in this free agent wide receiver market, which basically is almost stalled, because we know these guys are asking for boatloads of money, and we know they're not worth it. That Calvin Ridley deal was pretty damn sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he comes in and puts up half the numbers he did, right, just half the numbers, to me, that's still worth it.
Yeah. No, I like Calvin Ridley coming back. I mean, and I know there's red flags, the fact that I know he released the story and his whole perspective on everything, and I get it. Look, I get it. They're even reading that, I still have a little bit of red flags about how all that transpired and stuff. But the point is, I'm a guy that loves second chances. The guy's got the ability that we need. It's like you said, the amount of money and risk the Jaguars have taken in is not much. He gets an opportunity on an up-and-coming team. To me, it's a match made in heaven. And it gives him, if he's hungry, he was out for a year. He loves football. He's now got that, back. All the stuff, all the crap that happened to him in Atlanta, that's behind him. And he's got that year of hunger to get back on the field and come into it and make. Let me ask you this. Ridley, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and Evan Ingram, where does that put us? Because I went back and I looked, and I'm like, well, where did the Jags stand last year, statistically receiving? And we are at 12. We're the 12th best team, at least in the way the NFL laid it out. I'm not sure, what they valued so much, but we were the 12th best team. So we're top half of the league. Somewhere slightly behind the Lions. I believe we're around the Raiders, which seems interesting because they got Devontae Adams. I think this pushes us up somewhere, definitely in the top 10, maybe 5 to 10, closer to 5.
So I'm fine with 12. I'm fine
No,
with
we were 12
because,
last year without Ridley.
and I get that, right? But you still don't know what you're going to get from Ridley. So if I went out on a date with Calvin Ridley and I saw these red flags, he wouldn't get a second date. As a fan, you don't have to look at stuff like that. You don't have to worry about the red flags. But he
so is
could
Calvin
be
Ridley
hungry.
your type?
No, I was using that. I was using that, to sort of paint a picture, right?
For you ladies out there.
Yeah, for you ladies out there. Anyway, no, I was using that to paint a picture to tell you that in certain aspects, the red flags are bigger than what you're looking at, what you have to deal with, because you don't have to deal with them. The Jags have to deal with them. Truth be told, the Jags are taking a chance. Now, if he bombs, it doesn't technically hurt us. We just lose whatever money we have invested. But we know we have the 12th best passing, right? So let's say that's the floor. And number 5 is the ceiling. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. I'd go in between them. But because you don't know exactly what you're getting off of Ridley, is you have to give that range. I don't think you could say, we're top 5 automatically.
Oh, well, I didn't say top 5. I was saying between 5 and 10. That was
reasonable.
I don't put us in the top 5. No, I don't think that's reasonable.
I think that's reasonable. I also think we'll move up, barring injury, with Trevor Lawrence and a slightly better QB play.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So I think we're naturally going to move up, and I think whatever Calvin Ridley gives us, as long as he gives us something positive, will help with that regard.
And I think the Calvin Ridley, like you said, you mentioned the fact that, by all accounts, this isn't the greatest wide receiver in free agent class. And I think the fact that we got Calvin Ridley reinstated right around the time when free agents sort of began kind of helps us get through this, lackadaisical free agency period. But, I mean, this is exactly what we wanted. This is exactly what I wanted. I wanted this kind of free agency period. Now, I did want us to keep our guys. And I do expect some movement in the value free agents, as you discussed. Some guys come into the compete maybe a little bit, back half of the roster, special teams type guys. Did we talk about Dewey?
No, we did not bring up Dewey.
We should have opened with Dewey.
It was always Dewey.
That's true. It was always Dewey.
Yeah.
I mean, even when we were talking about other people, it was always Dewey.
like I said, I thought when I first looked at the numbers, I thought the numbers may be slightly too high, but then I'm like, well, he's a good locker room dude. You know, he's a good guy in the community. Yeah. He's a backup safety, and he's a good special teamer.
He's a really good special teamer.
Right. So you put all that together, $6 million. Okay, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
I'm good with that. I'm absolutely good with that.
I don't have a problem with it. You know that I've had an up and down relationship with Dewey. Yeah, no, really? Not me. Yeah, no,
don't
not
say.
Me. Yeah. Oh, but I'm happy he's back. Congratulations. I'm happy you're back, man. I hope you stay in Duval. I hope, you know. I don't know if you'll retire in Duval, but
yeah,
good to have you.
Yeah, but it's funny because people are like, yeah, he looks like somebody from Jacksonville, right? I mean, he fits right in. Dirty South. Hey, I like that, man. Bring the guys that are Jacksonville type guys. Hey, I'm good with that.
Well, I think there's a guard missing some front teeth in the draft.
Well, he'll get those fixed once he gets his agent fronts him alone. You know,
he said after the NFL.
Let me ask you this: what do you think about the fact that the Chiefs are talking about putting Jawaan Taylor at left tackle? Isn't that now? It doesn't surprise me because Orlando Brown was a left tackle, but you know, what is interesting to me about that is there's two. It's funny how this Jawaan Taylor situation is always a good bad scenario for me. So even from their perspective, it's good because Jawaan Taylor was a great pass blocker. Not so good at run blocking. So kind of like a left tackle, you know? You'd love a left tackle that could run block and pass block, but you need him to pass block.
Right.
But he hasn't done it from that side. And this is a guy whose whole shtick, his whole skill set, not all of it, but a lot of it's predicated on this amazing ability to be able to time the snap what appears to be a false start a lot. But he did it all year, and they were fine with it. So to me,
those are false starts.
Well, now they want to be they're false starts.
They were
I get it.
false.
I get that, but I'm talking about last year when they weren't false starts.
You know what? I wish him the best. I think it's going to be a tough transition.
That's the thing. It's a transition.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough transition.
And you know, for me, I look at it and go, now, if I'm wanting to get a free agent, I want to get a guy who substantiated himself at the position. And I think, aren't you kind of devaluing that stability at this point by taking him and moving him to a side you've never seen him play before?
Who knows?
Apparently, they say he did some games at Florida. Okay, well, most Gator fans probably don't remember that. So that's what you're relying on? I just think that's a really weird move by the Chiefs. And honestly, if this was a move any other team did, not any other team, but like a team, I don't know, say the Raiders, who just decided to sign Garoppolo after getting rid of Carr and then shipping off Darren Waller. If a team like that decided to get Jawaan Taylor and move him to left from right, I think they would be questioned about that a little bit more than what people are questioning the Chiefs. And rightly so, the Chiefs deserve
the Chiefs. So
the benefit of the doubt, but it's interesting.
Good luck to him, and I hope when we play the Chiefs this year, we wear his ass out. And I hope they call 40 false starts on. But, I mean...
You no longer do ball, Jawaan.
Yeah, I mean, can he? Sure. But to me, it's a difficult transition. He didn't have a great resume at right tackle.
This year he was... Yeah, this year he was really, really good. But yeah, you're right. Overall, it was mixed.
But overall, what do you call it? 50-50?
That's a good point. That's a good
point.
So
he's 50-50. Now you want to transition him to a left too?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's some talk about, maybe because we've got Walker Little, and I think a lot of people are just thinking, oh, Walker Little now comes in and plays
right tackle.
Right tackle, but I don't know.
He played both at Stanford.
But no, I understand that. I'm actually more or less referring to Cam, because Cam Robinson is actually a pretty decent run blocker, and his issue's pass blocking. So there's some people that are saying, because it's not out of the realm of possibility that next offseason we're saying goodbye to Cam Robinson, because his contract is going to go up further. And so far, they re-signed him on the hope that he was going to improve. And to be honest, he didn't improve. He's kind of a very pedestrian left tackle in the league. So maybe you go ahead and assume he's never going to improve, and you move him over to right tackle, see if it does make some improvement, and you get Walker Little some left tackle experience this year, so that next year you go into it and you're set at left tackle, and you go in looking for your backup right tackle. I guess it depends on who's available this draft.
Right. And see, the whole thing is that you trust in Doug Peterson. You trust in him to start the best combination. Bulky. I don't know about that. We'll see.
He's wooing you, I can tell.
I gave him kudos. I gave him kudos for the Ridley trade, right? I gave him kudos for that. But yeah, for this, I think we got to trust Doug P and let him put the best 5 players in whatever position he thinks they're the best at to win. That's what he's supposed to do. That's his damn job. So I'm going to trust him to do his job. And if Cam Robinson is the starting left tackle, cool. If he's the starting right tackle, cool.
It'd be something to watch and see if if
we see anything, yeah. If we start to see Walker Little and Cam Robinson switching out with the loser going to right.
Something to watch out for when camp begins. We can start talking about that.
Yep. Woo!
It'll be here before you know it.
That's right. Hey, we got the draft. We're going to have some draft commentary coming up in a bit. I want to say thank you. Please hit that like, subscribe button. Leave us a comment. Anything. Hello. Hi. Anything works.
Do you disagree?
Let us know what you feel. Hey, if you feel there's a free agent out there. Do you want James
Robinson back? You could comment
if
on our
anybody
videos.
But James Robinson, if there's any other free agents but James Robinson, come.
I hear the Jets are not bringing
him back. Yeah, they're not tagged. Yeah. I could see him being a valued free agent. Wouldn't hurt my feelings. But again, it's an undervalued class.
Bring back James. Bring back Calais. I'm all about it.
Yeah, maybe not so bad.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in.
Balky,
we'll
come
see
on.
You guys later.
Mike's almost there to be a fan, man. If you do that.
You know what would make me a real fan? A good draft. A really good draft.
Yeah, we need that. Peace out, y'all.